What's the deal though? Fishing hooks in the chat was good. Ready to get started? All right, let's get into this podcast. Where's everybody at? Who knows what podcast number this is? Ding, ding, ding. Man, y'all be on point, huh? I am pretty consistent. So that does help. It does help, but today we're going to talk about when I was living like baby boy. Who's around, baby boy? And I know Taraji like I'm baby boy. You still living like him? What are you talking about? Who's him? What are you talking about? What do you mean by that? If you guys got any questions before we start, speak up. If you're on a Zoom call, you got to speak. I don't really look at the chat. Rest was good. What the deal? Today's going to be a good little topic. Bit of a story time. You know, just talking about why trying to rely on women is not a good idea. It's one thing if they rely on you, but relying on women, it just has never served us any good. Don't get me wrong, there's times where I did it, but if I could advise you guys to not do it, it is definitely something I would advise you to. He said, I'm on hard times. Can anyone cash at me $20? I get it, but if you have internet access and you have, I think you should stay for this podcast. This is a great podcast. For you, telling you don't rely on your women, you're trying to rely on strangers. How about this? Instead of asking people for $20, create a product where you can sell to people for maybe $5. And if you get like maybe 100,000 followers and try to market to them, even you don't even need 100,000, right? But 100,000, you'll be making close to like $500,000 at $5. I wish I would have made my Patreon cheaper. If anybody knows a way to make Patreon cheaper, I'll make that main tier $5 so this way more people can join and I can make more money. He said selling plasma. Don't do that, dude. You're going to be out of energy. How about this? He said thoughts on plasma. How about this? What are your thoughts on getting a job? I know that might sound a little crazy, but what are your thoughts on getting a job? I mean, asking people for money is cool, but a job is, crazy. So I heard that TikTok has this new thing where you can subscribe to their personal life. You can make like documentaries. I will make that shit $2. I will have so many subscriptions, and then I'll give you the real personal, juicy stuff that you guys want to hear. I'll let you even see my personal life. I'll let you see the people that I interact with. I know y'all like that because then y'all get to see the game live and up front. You feel me? Do you guys know about that? The subscription to TikTok? I think I'm gonna start pushing that. The TikTok subscriptions. Make it like $2. Make it real cheap. So this way you guys can subscribe to it. Everybody gets a little, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, today's topic. It was originally living like baby boy, but you can't depend on women. So are you guys ready to get into this? I think this is beneficial for the women and beneficial for the men. I mean, it's kind of calling out men because it was something that I used to do. I used to be a real player. I mean, shit, I dress like a pimp, baby. But you got to have some pride. Got to have work ethic. You got to be a money man. You got to be a money go getter. I just got a lot of pimp qualities. I can't help that. That's how my mama raised me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Shit, I'm cute too. It ain't just the glasses. All right, let's get into today's podcast. Today we're going to talk about why you shouldn't be relying on women. And it may sound, I know how the women get. It may sound a bit misogynistic, but this one's actually in your favor. We'll do the podcast, and then after, you guys can come up if you got any questions. Podcast number 172. Drop your ones in the chat if you're ready for me to get started, because I'm ready to get started. Ready to get started on it. Run up the likes in the chat if you guys are on live anyway. I'd highly appreciate that. And I'm ready to get this thing going. As soon as I find my damn platform for the podcast, they changed it, so it's confusing. Of course, just like a female can't follow directions. You had to put 2, huh? I said put 1, she dropped a 2. You know, you love them. You can't live with them, can't live without them, and whatever. Anyway, guys, podcast number 172. Today we're going to be talking about was living like baby boy, but why you shouldn't rely on women. And I will get into a story time and where I relied on my ex-girlfriend for things and, you know, being smooth, knowing how to talk, getting your way into things, not deliberately, but it was a very vulnerable moment for me, but it taught me a really big lesson as to why, you know, living like Tyrese and baby boy really came back to really hurt me. You know, yes, you guys know the car story, but you know, it's more than that though. It's actually more than that. And it's very analogous because I was watching baby boy and I'm just like, damn, I was really living like this. So if you know how the podcast goes, we play a little song, we do like a radio style, right? Play a little song and then we get right into it. This is J.O. Say It Ain't. And don't rely on women for shit, man, because when they are upset, boy, you know what I'm saying? We ain't fucking around out here, man. It will come back to haunt you. You know how we doing, nigga? We doing back-to-back shit. Ain't no stopping, ain't no motherfucking breaks, nigga. This shit ain't for the weak. So tell them niggas, watch out. I'm gon' blow, ain't depending on no niggas. Yeah, I'm gon' roll. I ain't even tripping about the lies being told. That's what happens when you poppin' niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Got the city on fire, but I'm still too cold. Always tell it like it is, yeah, you know I'm too bold. But you still sleeping on me, niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't. Ain't so, got it figured out. Tried to be the nice guy, but now I'm on a different route. Probably got your girlfriend in my crib, just trying to dick her down. And best believe I kick her out if she don't plan on putting out. Yeah, cause I'm a dog, I'm a fucking dog. Got a lot of bitches, but I'm always trying to fuck some more. Yeah, so what you want from a nigga? I done found out the game, and they don't be loving niggas. I'm good, I'm all set. The way I do my own thing, yeah, they all vex. Out here calling shots like a motherfucking rep. Whole time y'all was playing checkers, I was playing chess. Man, this shit a mess. I'm gon' blow, ain't depending on no niggas. Yeah, I'm gon' roll. I ain't even tripping about the lies being told. That's what happens when you poppin' niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't. All right, guys, that was J.O. Say It Ain't. But let's get into today's topic. So I'm watching Baby Boy. Now, if you've never seen the movie Baby Boy, it's a movie with Tyrese. I forget Tyrese's last name. Very handsome, no homo, handsome, dark-skinned chocolate man, bald. He's probably a little more popular for the Transformer movies. I think he was in one of them. He's a part of the Fast and Furious series. But in the early 90s or the early 2000s, I'm not sure when exactly that movie came out. He played as a guy from I think Los Angeles, right? Somewhere in LA, somewhere in California. And I'm not sure if it was Compton, but it was one of those, one of those LA hoods. And he was living in the ghetto. And it was a very, I don't want to say typical situation because that's not all people. And we don't want to generalize young black men, but it was a situation where he's living with his mother and his baby moms here and there, back and forth, and using his baby mom's car, but when they weren't on good terms, he had to give her shit back. Right. And this was exactly who I was in my earlier 20s. Now, to be fair, I wasn't exactly like that, and I wasn't riding a bike around in my early 20s. I always had a car. I had a car since I was 17. I had a car. I've always had a car. I've always had a car and always did, and always will. So when I was about 17, I had a car, but when I got into my last relationship, I had a Camaro, and this was my first car that I actually paid for myself. Very proud of it. Back then, I was the man. You got to understand, being 22, 23 with 20, what do I want to say, 20, I think I had 2015 and 2016 Camaro, and I think the year was like maybe 2016, 2017 maybe. So I got a brand new car. I'm 23 years old. Listen, I look good. I can dress. I'm getting money, getting more money than I ever did. And that car was a chick magnet for me. But of course, I let somebody settle me down, right? And I got a girlfriend at the time, and I was the prize. I was the prize. She knew that a lot of girls wanted me, and she was okay with that at first. And long story short, I got into a car accident, and that car was my pride and joy. That car was my pride and joy, and I love that car so much. And what happened was, I got into the car accident, and I went into a bit of a depression. I don't want to say depression, but I was really sad. I was really sad because it was my pride and joy. It was my possession. I cleaned it all the time. I made sure I got it clean. It was able to get me not just from point A to point B, but it attracted a lot of things and it attracted a lot of girls for me. And I had fun. It was a fast car too. And what happened was, after I crashed the car, my girlfriend at the time felt as if she had to pick up the slack. I had a really hard time taking the bus. I had a really hard time taking the train because I never did that. It's not something I do. Where I live, having a car is very convenient. And it's not something that I like to do. And it's not something that I want to do. So she felt as if she had to pick up the slack. So she had been working for some time, and she was saving her money because she didn't really have to drive a lot of places because I would always pick her up. Although she did spend money sometimes when we were going out, but I was younger. And so she went and got a car. And mind you, she didn't know how to drive at all. She didn't even have a license. The same day she got her license, uh, was the same. I think the next, like 2 days later, she went and got a car. She got a car like literally a few days right after she got her license. So she didn't really know how to drive. Essentially, it's her car, but essentially it was for me, right? And she felt as if because I didn't have a car, and it was a nice gesture and it was a nice thing she did. And honestly, it's something about me, and I can't really exactly pinpoint it. I feel like when I talk to a lot of girls, I don't ask for anything, I don't demand anything, but I always find myself in a situation where they want to do things for me. And maybe when I was younger, in my early teens or late teens, I probably took advantage of that. But as I got into my 20s, I didn't take advantage of that so much, but I got complacent. And instead of saving my money and buying a car, I went and started a sneaker collection. And I spent like 10 racks just buying sneakers, and just thinking about it, I'm like, that was so stupid. I could have got another damn car. Like, it was just so dumb. And I don't understand why I did that. But I just felt that I needed to keep up this good look. And I didn't have my car, so I had to replace it with something. If I couldn't drive, I had to say, like, well, I'm going to look good. So when anybody sees me, that attention, I was just so used to it. But long story short, so I started to rely on my girl's car. And this taught me the biggest lesson ever. I remember one day, um, I was going to take her to work. And like living like Baby Boy. If you ever seen Baby Boy, he would take his girl to work. He would pick her up. He would pick Yvette up from work, right? he was he was low key. Well, I don't think he was messing with her coworkers. I didn't exactly mess with her coworkers, but they was throwing me passes though. I didn't catch it, but they was throwing it. But one day I was going to take her to work in her car, and as I'm going to take her to work, we got into an argument. Um, and I forget what the argument was about, and whether I was being entitled, whether I was being disrespectful or not. The point was she didn't like it, and so because she didn't like it, as a result, she felt as if she was going to be petty and try to punish me for it. So what she did was she said, "You know what? I'm not going to let you have my car since you want to talk to me like that crazy." I'm like, "Anyway, we're going to take you to work and that's that." And she was like, "No, I want my keys and I want my car now." And I'm like, "Shut up. I'm going to take you to work. We're not doing that." She's like, "I will call the cops." And she started making a scene. She's like almost about to make me crash. I'm like, "All right, cool. All right, stop." I was like, "Fine, take your damn car." So I got out, and she, on her way to work, she sacrificed being late to work and literally drove my ass back home like a little ass child because it was her car. And rightly so. I didn't have any rights to it. And because I got so comfortable, because I got so complacent with using my girlfriend's car, that was a reality check. And then it didn't stop there. There were other times where I'm like, "Well, I want to go home." And she's like, "Well, I need my light bulb changed." And I would fix things on the car. I would change her light bulbs because, that's just me, just obviously taking care of it, just being a gentleman, just being a good boyfriend. So one time I didn't feel like doing it that night. And there was this control or this struggle for power. And what she wanted to do was she wanted to say, "Well, I need you to fix this light bulb now because I don't want to be driving around with the light bulb out." I said, "Well, I'll do that later. Let's go home first." And you see, things started to happen that I would never do to her when I had my car. But when she had her car, she wanted to try to control me and take advantage of it. And there was this thing where it was like, well, there's almost a loss of respect, right? And what happened was she was like, "Well, you need to change the light bulb now or we're not going home." And mind you, I have my little brother with me. And because, I used the car as mine. So if I told my little brother with me, I thought it was fine. It's okay. But she literally, it was like, "Oh, you need to change the light bulb." So whatever. I changed the light bulb. And after that day, I promise you, I never, ever, ever, ever again allowed myself to borrow her car. And the point is, there was a numerous amount of stories where like that happened until that last time where it occurred. What I absolutely had enough. And the point of the story is, a lot of you guys will rely on a woman for stuff. A lot of you guys will rely on women for things that you mute your mic. A lot of you guys will rely on women for things, and then when the consequences come, these are some of the results. And you shouldn't. You 1,000% shouldn't. And granted, yeah, I was young. I was 20, like I think maybe 23, 20, 23, 24, something like that. I was really young. And it's not that I didn't know any better. I didn't think that she would do something like that. I didn't think that this was somebody I loved. This is somebody I made love to. This is somebody who we had a lot of romantic moments with. This is somebody who's in my home, somebody who met my family, somebody who I've done tons of nice things, somebody who went on vacation with. I didn't think that somebody like that would be so vindictive. And it was a big lesson. And I see this all the time with guys who get with women. You guys get with women, and then you have to learn things the hard way. Ugh. Hold on a second. Gotta put my laptop on the charger. You guys learn things the hard way. And this is why I tell guys, never get a lease with a woman. Never go into an apartment with a woman. Don't do that ever. Because there's so many clients that I have and I speak to, and they say, well, KB, I'm risking now my credit's at risk, and I'm risking my credit going bad, and now I got to break the lease and pay all these penalties and fines because we broke up, or she's saying this and saying that, or she started seeing someone else, whatever the case may be. She wants to be petty. And now because you went half with somebody and not just having your own shit, now you have to pay the penalties and have the consequences and repercussions. You have to understand that not all women, and not all women are like that. But there is a thing where I see, especially with married couples, and I don't have a lot of married couples, but the ones that I do have, where a woman starts to make a little more money, and maybe sometimes where a woman her role changes, and usually when it's in reference to money or having something that a man doesn't have, she usually loses some type of respect. And you got to understand it from my perspective. I was young. I was getting a lot of money. I was like doing a lot of stuff on the side. I was working a lot of hours, and I had a really nice car. And what happened was, my car crashed. And when she had hers, and if I didn't do something she liked, it started small. It started small. It started with, okay, well, I will, I'll do this or fix this. But then it was like, I want you to do what I want, or you can't take my car. I want you to do what I want, or you can't borrow my car. Right? It become the means of control. And after that last time, I just said, you know what? I just took like, a little $2,000, got a nice cheap car, put a down payment on it, right? And that car's paid off now. Um, and put a nice little down payment on it. And then once that happened, it was like she was almost out the door, because she realized, and we both realized how much control she had on me. And we had broken up, and she was trying to fix things and trying to keep it together, but she understood I'm not somebody who can be controlled. And another lesson is, whenever you put restraints on people, whether those be physical or metaphoric, they're going to want to break. They're going to want to release from them. And even furthermore, this is not something you usually see. This is not something you usually see in men like that, right? A man will have his own stuff and take care of a woman, and that's usually a lot of cases. It's been that way since the beginning of time, right? Men provide for women, and when a woman starts making a little money, man just like, oh well, I gotta control you, and I gotta know. It's because it's always been that way. You only see this shit when it comes to women. Usually, not all cases. Obviously, there's always exceptions, but usually when you see this type of shit, it only usually comes from women. Because men have been doing this since the beginning of time, taking care of their family, taking care of women. The only roles in society that have changed are women. It's only women liberation. It's only recently women start making more money in the grand scheme of things. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, you know, you have to understand, as a man, you shouldn't rely on a woman. And this, even aside from that, bad things can happen to you. And some, not all, but some women can be vindictive. But as a man, you should have enough pride, and you should have enough say so to understand that you shouldn't rely on anything when it comes to women. At least your livelihood, at least have your own place, at least have your own car, at least make your own money. This is why I tell guys, you don't do 50-50. And even furthermore, even from a religious perspective, and I was young, so I didn't really think too much about it, right? But that's why I tell you guys, we don't do 50-50. Right? Even if you want to do 60-40, 70-30, 80-20 in favor of you, in favor for the woman, right? When you're paying for most of the things, you at least want to do that. And it really plays a big effect on your dynamics. right? And this is something that I learned when I was younger. You can't have a relationship, and this is from religion, and I'm not saying this for everybody, but you can't have a relationship, you can't get married until you have enough money to take care of that family on your own. On your own. Meaning everything that a woman makes is hers. And if she decides to share it, if she decides to give it to you, that's considered charity. But and you think, and I'm thinking, as you know, why would God make it like that? Why would he say that, right? If you're Muslim, right? Why would he say that? But then I think back to my situation. Well, look at that. Look how the fuck I got treated like a child and disrespected all types of ways. All types of ways. Because and women usually start to make money unless you're like Rihanna or some shit where it's like very exceptional 1 percentile of Earth's population, right? Unless you fall into that 1 percentile, which is exceptional, and most women don't make that kind of money, right? Most men don't, but most women it's less because on average men usually make more money than women. So the point is, guys, do not, I repeat, do not try to rely on women for these things. And it's not something coming from women. And I'm not trying to hear anything from the feminists. All I'm saying it is women usually don't like that anyway. If you ever have a conversation with a lot of females, they say, well, I would want a guy that's making just as much or more. Why is that? Because when when a woman has to make a certain amount of money, they equate that with so much. They equate that with so much. And even if you make a certain amount, and some people think that, well, I make a lot of money, that's one person. If you don't understand how percentages work, that's not general. Everyone's experience is a little different, right? So when you're talking generally, things are different. But the point is, guys, do not rely on women when it comes to these things. You have to be independent. There are even studies that show that women are more attracted to independent and ambitious men, right? Unless, I know the feminists, I know they operate a little different, but unless they're, in heterosexual relationships, I think that still applies. And you got to understand when it comes to dynamics, it also makes those dynamics easier for you as a couple, right? If you make her life a little bit easier, there's a lot of things that you can get in a trade-off. When that conversation of women trying to be are being called out for not being submissive, they always have this selective submissiveness where they say, well, I would do it for the right man, right? Because being submissive is indicative of femininity, right? Somebody who's usually submissive has a good level of femininity, and that's really good for women as far as attraction goes. That's what men like. They want very feminine women. But when you're selective with it, that means that's not your true nature. Not saying that you have to be submissive for every man, but if you see he's not the right type of man for you, obviously you just leave the situation alone. But that shouldn't have any effect on your character as a person, as a female, right? Because that's what men like. But you see this when it comes to that whole submissive thing, women say, well, for the right man. And it's not only about money, but one of the facets of it, one of those things that are contributing factor to women being submissive is how well you can take care of things. Now, I understand times are hard, and I understand that things are really difficult nowadays and not everybody can pay for everything, but if you can pay for most things. So what does that look like? Be independent first. Be independent first. So be independent and have enough where you can take care of yourself. And if you have enough money, because I tell guys, if you don't have enough money to date, don't date. Don't date. But if you have enough money, okay, cool. When you do go out with somebody, just make sure you pay for the food. Every time you goes out, you can pay for the food. I'm not saying you have to pay her bills. If she has her own place and her rent is $1,200, $2,000, her mortgage is $2,000, you don't have to pay that unless you can. But if you can, make sure you're with that person for years. This is not somebody you've been dating for months. You're gonna start paying her rent, right? Me personally, I feel like every time I go out, I'll pay the food. You know, I remember when I first time I made 10K in a month. When I started making 10K a month, I said, okay, cool. I can give you some money for your nails, $200 every other week or whatever the case may be, $100 here, $100 there. Sure, I'll give you some money for that. That's fine because I can do it. Now, I understand for guys that can't do it, they're not going to do that. but it wasn't excessive. I'm not going to just sit here and pay all your bills, especially when you have a form of income, you know? But the point is, guys, being independent, especially as men, and I know a lot of you guys that listen to me are a lot younger, be independent first. And if you don't have enough money to date, don't date. One of the lessons that my father told me when I was very, very young, I remember being told this maybe about 12, 13, maybe 14. He said, never go outside to eat. Never go out to eat with just enough money. Always make sure you have more and then some. There's always contingencies that you want to be prepared for. What if you catch a flat and you have to pay for that? Well, I know how to change a tire. I know a lot of men don't. But what if you have to pay for something extra? What if you have to buy something? What if you need to get gas? What if something happens? There's always emergency. You should always have extra cash. Never just go out with enough. Say, oh, I got $40. We're going to go out to eat. And that's going to be that. She's going to pay her half. I'm going to, no. You should always, even if the plan was to go 50-50 on a date, which is not something I approve of, guys, but even if it were, you should have enough just to cover her half also, because what if she left her food at home, right? What if she left her money at home? What if I left my wallet at home? What if she did that deliberately because she just didn't want to pay? She's like, oh, I'll pay you back later. But still, you should always have it just in case. Don't depend on women because things will get ugly. And it's not a shot to women, but that's just my experience. And I have a lot of experience with women. And then on top of that, I have guys who speak to me on the daily. Guys who call me on the daily, and they suffer from a lot of situations. And sometimes women can be very vindictive sometimes. But you can avoid a lot of this by being independent, being smart. And once again, if you don't have enough money to date, don't date. I tell you guys, you should work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Average income in America is about, I think, anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 a year. If you're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week at $20 an hour, you can make $80K a week. You can make $80K a year, right? That's about $1,000 a week. Don't be afraid to work hard, especially when you're young. The demographics for the people who listen to me are anywhere from 17 to 25. That's where the majority are. You guys are young. Trust me. When I was that age, you're not missing out on anything. Work on your craft, have a skill, have a trade, work, save the money. All you have to do is save the money. You don't necessarily have to go to school. You don't necessarily have to get an education to make a lot of money. I didn't finish college. I make more money than people who have PhDs. You know how many girls I know that have PhDs? And even some of the girls who are nurses, the RNs who went to school for it, and they make good money, still don't make more money than me, some of them. Right? So the point is, focus on building, make it right investments. Like I told you, I'm in Novatech. I make anywhere from 1% to 6% of my money every week. And I reinvest it. When are you getting out of Chase Bank? 1% in a year? The point is, guys, be independent. The whole point of this podcast, the whole point of this channel is for men to be men. And if you're going to be a man, this is one thing that you have to secure. You have to be able to be independent first before you can take care of anybody. And even if you say, well, I don't want to be responsible for all the bills, you still have to take care of most things. And then there are other responsibilities outside of that. At least have your own shit first. Right? At least have your own stuff. And once again, this is not a shot towards women. This is not saying that women can't do what they want to do. All I'm saying is have your own shit. Don't rely on women for money. Don't rely on women. Like, I'd be damned. I'd rather starve. I'd rather sleep on I'd rather sleep outside in my car and be fucking homeless than to go and ask another woman for money. I'll work 100 hours a week if I had to. If I only got to sleep 3 hours a day, I would do that shit before I go and ask somebody for something ever again. My pride run from here to China. I'll be damned. And that's what some of you are lacking. I know a lot of you guys say, well, I ain't paying for nothing. Well, you know what? I'm calling you out on it. Don't think just because, I'm teaching men how to be men and we talk about a lot of relationship stuff. Listen, This is a major thing, and I keep seeing it. I keep seeing young men that saying, oh, I don't have money to go on dates. I don't have money to subscribe to Patreon. I don't have money. Well, you know what? Get a job. Just the other day, I had a guy booked a call, right? And says, well, I can't afford the relationship course. It's $200. $200 is a pair of sneakers. At 19, I had that money because I had a job. I had a job. I worked. I never been lazy. You guys are lazy. You want to have a rotation of girls. You want to tell me, okay, B, how do I get 3 girls at once? You have to be able to afford one. It's going to get expensive. Even if you want them 50-50 with all of them, and if you want on cheap dates, you still have to pay for yourself. You still have to pay for yourself. You guys are so focused on dating and you don't have your shit together. At least have a job. At least have a car. At least be able to pick her up. Even if you still live at home, that's fine. At least have your own stuff. All right, guys, we're going to end this podcast off, and then we'll take some questions if you guys got any questions. The whole point is don't rely on women for things. And it may sound bad when I first started, but I'm pretty sure now it makes a lot of sense. Have your own shit and have your shit together before you start dating. All right?
I'm saying?
This is
We
JL
ain't fucking
saying
around out here, man.
We'll take questions after this.
Fuck you thought it was, nigga. You know how we doing, nigga? We doing back-to-back shit. Ain't no stopping, ain't no motherfucking breaks, nigga. This shit ain't for the weak. So tell them niggas, watch out. I'm gon' blow, ain't depending on them niggas. Yeah, I'm gon' roll. I ain't even tripping about the lies being told. That's what happens when you poppin' niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Got the city on fire, but I'm still too cold. Always tell it like it is, yeah, you know I'm too bold. But you still sleeping on me, niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so, got it figured out. Try to be the nice guy, but now I'm on a different route. Probably got your girlfriend in my crib just trying to dick her down. And best believe I kick her out if she don't plan on putting out. Yeah, cause I'm a dog, I'm a fucking dog. Got a lot of bitches, but I'm always trying to fuck some more. Yeah, so what you want from a nigga? I done found out the game and they don't be loving niggas. I'm good, I'm all set. The way I do my own thing, yeah, they all vex. Out here calling shots like a motherfucking rep. Whole time y'all was playing checkers, I was playing chess. Man, this shit a mess. I'm gon' blow, ain't depending on them niggas. Yeah, I'm gon' roll. I ain't even tripping about the lies being told. That's what happens when you poppin' niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Got the city on fire, but I'm still too cold. Always tell it like it is. Yeah, you know I'm too bold, but you still sleeping on me. Niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so that I'm back, nigga. Tell shorty that I'm in. She don't get a whack, nigga. Doing all that yapping. He just saying cause my stack's bigger. Hit it from the back. I'm the one that got an ass bigger. Yeah, and I'm a boss. I'm a fucking boss. Feeling like a...
All right, that was JL Say It Ain't. If you guys got any questions, by the way, for the people who don't have 1,000 followers or more on TikTok, you guys can hit the link in the bio and go on YouTube. I put a link to the Zoom call. So if you guys want to talk, you guys want to speak up and ask questions, or you want to give your opinion about the podcast tonight, you can do that. Guys on Zoom from Patreon, if you got any questions, you can speak now. But let's see what we're talking about in the chat. You guys got anything to say? Any questions? Any ideals? Anybody disagree? I doubt anybody was going to disagree with that, but
Hello? Can you hear me?
What's the deal, man?
All right, so I'm going through a little bit of a situation. So basically, I've been talking to this chick for like a month, and she was like, she got like a little bit disrespectful. So I was just like, I tried to check it, and I wasn't sure if that was the right thing to do, to check it.
Well, how'd
or
you do
just
it?
kind of ignore it and be nonchalant. I checked it.
Well, what was it and how'd you do it?
So she canceled on a date, and then she didn't cancel on the date, but I called her. I called her and was like, yeah, so we going out tomorrow. She's like, oh, I thought you weren't serious. And then I was just like, yo, that's kind of fucked up that you're doing fucking Pilates instead of that. And I was just like, all right, it seems like you're kind of busy. So I just hung up on her. I didn't really hang up on her. I just kind of I was just like, I wasn't trying to be rude.
Well, did you say that's fucked up that you're doing Pilates instead of going on our date?
Yeah, no, I said that's kind of fucked up that you're canceling on me like that. Exactly like that.
Okay. And what happened?
And then so she said, "Fuck you."
Watch your language. Hey, watch your language because I'm on
live.
Oh
yeah.
So okay, just try to keep the cursing to a minimum. But continue.
Yeah, my bad. She said, "F you," and then I was just like, "What?" And I was like, "You're disrespecting me and my time." And then I was like, "I'm gonna need some space." And then I just didn't text her. She said, "K" with a thumbs up, and then I was just like, "Okay." So I waited. She double texts me, and she's like, "Fuck, what did she say?" She said, she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were serious about it," or whatever. And then I called her, I called her later that night, and I was just like, I just wanted to set some ground rules. I wanted to be like, if you're going to have any kind of relationship, I wasn't even implying like a real relationship, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, just any kind of relationship. Like, you got to be respectful and not like be pulling that shit. And, then I stopped talking to her, and next day she tries to friend zone me, and I said, "No, I'm good. I have enough friends." And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So like, what mistakes in my game did I make?
Well, for starters, the first mistake was if she canceled plans, you don't say, "I think that's fucked up because you're doing a part." I think that's effed up that you're doing Pilates and not going on a date with me instead. Right? Because it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Whether it was deliberate or not, you're wrong for that. That's not game because you're reacting.
It wasn't that like intense. It was just, I was just like,
it doesn't matter.
That's fucked up.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't matter because it's not effed up. It's not because it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. What if it was a serious? She's doing Pilates, but okay, cool. It's an indicator of a few things, If she, for whatever reason, she didn't think you were serious, okay, cool, that's fine. You got to understand reacting, showing emotion. You're giving into it because if she really had high interest in you, she would have went on that date. But that's okay because sometimes a girl may not have high interest in you. That's not necessarily always deliberate disrespect. You can't really set a boundary on that because some girls will make excuses for a lot of things and you never really know what the exact reason is. But if a girl has high interest in you, usually they don't cancel on dates, but you're wrong for react. You have no right to react like that. You got to, see, that's the thing. The difference between you and me, when I was that age, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay. When I was your age, I wouldn't get mad at stuff like that. Because at 19, I ain't gonna hold you, I was a little wild. So I wasn't just dating one. I wasn't just talking to one girl for 1 month. I had a lot of options. So if one girl canceled on me, I'd be like, all right, that's cool. No tripping. I always kept it cool, kept it player. So I was like, all right, cool. So what I would do is, I would go out with somebody else and then post it on Facebook or something like that. Right? Because when I was I think Instagram came out like a year after I finished high school or something like that. But I would post it. And then they'd be like, "Oh wow, like you went out?" Like, "Yeah, I went out. You're not my girl. I'm chilling." You know what I'm saying? I'm doing me. I'm having fun. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, well, you canceled on me. That's not my girl. There's no exclusivity there. But you understand, you cancel on me. There's other people that want me, and I'm still the one monkey don't stop the show. I'm still gonna have fun. But your problem, where you messed up was you felt entitled, especially when that's not your girl.
Yeah.
You got to understand nowadays the game is different. Girls have way more options than they did before. And then there's this thing where it's like, even more that, women think that they're the same as men. Not saying that we're not equal because we're equal as human beings, but you got women moving like men nowadays. So you got to understand, yeah, you may be talking to her, but she may have other options. She may have other people texting her phone. She may have people that she's more interested in. And you got to understand, people with blue check marks are human beings too, and they like regular girls too. So unless you know that girl down packed, unless you know she's really down for you, you always got to consider that there's other options. And you getting upset, you showing emotion like a female, you getting upset and not keeping it cool and collected, that's where you went wrong. And you don't set boundaries for saying, "Oh, you canceled on me," especially if it's a first time. You know, obviously, whenever somebody
It wasn't a first time though.
Okay, how many times did she do it?
So I met this chick through one of my friends.
No,
my
I'm
friend's,
asking you, how
girlfriend.
many times did she cancel on you? I didn't ask for backstory. How many times she canceled on
Oh,
you?
okay. Fuck, let me think. I never actually got her on a date. I only got to see her in like a 2-on-2, but shit would still get like sexual. Like I was like grabbing her ass and shit and like
All right, come
slapping
on.
her and
Wait.
shit.
Language.
Oh,
Please.
my bad.
Language.
Yeah.
Just put a filter on it. You can still say
Yeah.
what you're doing. So you never been on a one-on-one date with her.
Yeah, I never got on the one-on-one.
So you was talking to her for a month, but you had never had a one-on-one date. So you said it was a 2-on-2 date.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you said you made out and got physical.
Yeah.
But you never actually hooked up, never had a sex actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've seen this girl and you have rapport with this girl, why would you get mad if she couldn't make it on one day?
Well, I don't like. That's the thing, dude. I wasn't like actually like angry. I just thought it was the right thing to check it.
But that's not something you check for. Like, if somebody's disrespectful, if somebody's disrespecting you, like for example, if she called you a hole or a f-boy or something like that, that you felt is disrespectful, that's something you set boundaries for. Because checking somebody's only setting boundaries.
She did call me an a-hole. She called me an a-hole. Said F you.
All right, but was that after the fact or before the fact?
That was before the fact, and I was checking that in the call as well.
Okay, but the point is, with the problem you address, that's not something you check.
Mm-hmm.
You check if somebody calls you outside of your name, you say, "Hey, listen, I don't talk to you that way. I appreciate if you don't talk to me that way. And if that's a problem for you, this is not something that I can continue, right? That's something you check and set boundaries for. You don't set boundaries if somebody's canceled. You're like, okay, cool. Because it's too personal. All right, cool. You cancel, that's fine. All right, cool. Still go and do your thing. Especially if that's not your girl. She don't owe you nothing yet. There's no exclusivity. Especially when you already have rapport with the girl, especially when you said you made out with her, you've been out with her before. There's no reason. It's just, you know what I'm saying? There's always next time. Don't say, hey, that's disrespectful. You can't tell somebody that's disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
You have no right. And then you don't know what's going on. You don't know her personal situation. What if she's really actually going through something, didn't want to tell you? But you always got to consider, like, there's always maybe another option, but you got to keep it cool. That's why when you're dating, you're just dating. Have more than one option. Don't get too caught up. But you don't check people for canceling dates, because there you being emotional. It looks like you're maybe not used to having attention. Looks like you're not used to getting girls. Because that's how I see it. Oh, he just ain't got a lot of experience. He just don't know what he's doing, because you're not used to talking to a lot of girls at once. It's like, and if you did have options, like, all right, cool, that's cool, baby. Don't trip. That's all right. You know what? Just next time, let me know when you're free. And if she cancel on you like that, maybe next time don't make no effort to go on the next. You let her make the effort, because she like canceling shit so much. So let me know when you free, and then I'll go off of that. Right? Simple.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But don't try to check somebody for for canceling the date, because you just ruined the situation. And it sounds like now that situation is completely done, where you could have just salvaged that and be like, all right, next time, baby, don't trip, but still go out and post on your story, show you having fun. Like, listen, just because you ain't free, that don't mean I ain't gonna have fun. I'm gonna still go out and have fun. Even if you just go out with your boys or your brother or your family, somebody, cousin, she ain't got to know who you were out with. Women are always going to insinuate that you want a date anyway. They're always going to think that anyway. So that's all you got to do. You got to learn to be a little calm, cool, and collected. Think before you do. Don't just react. You got to learn to keep shit playing just a little bit.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. Listen, I see that with a lot. I see that a lot with guys. The guys take stuff too personal sometimes. You guys got to understand that. You can't take shit personal all the time like that. And you got to understand, these girls is different. These girls are different nowadays. They got a lot of options. Yeah, she's not your girl. We're not doing song requests. Next time, say let them know sooner. Can you talk about why women in relationships that party are low value? Well, I mean, it's not. It's very simple. I don't want to say that they're low value, but women that party in relationships, it seems like single things, right? Those are things that you do when you're single. When you're single, you go to parties, you go to bars, you go to clubs, you go to clubs with single friends. You got to understand that you can't do things that are indicative of you being single and think that your man is going to be okay with it. And even if you went out with your friends, it's like, well, um, why are you going out to bars and clubs and your man doesn't approve of it? And if you know your man doesn't approve of it and you had respect for him, you probably wouldn't do that. And if you did go out with single friends, it would be more in an appropriate setting where you're not seeking other attention, especially when you go out looking your best. You're wearing this sexy outfit, you're wearing all this good looking stuff, and you're going out with single people. So if you're going out with single people, what are you going to think? People are going to think that, well, then maybe that's not something you want to do. That's why people think that, women in relationships that do those things, they're low value. You shouldn't be doing single things. Whereas, they ask women these questions. Well, if you go to the club, you think that if you that's a place where you can find players, because a lot of players and treat women and the F boys are going to be at clubs and bars. Do you think that's where they are? Yeah. So why would you continue to go there? Oh, well, I'm just with my friends. It's different. I'm just with my friends. Well, I'm no, you're putting yourself in the same environment. And then a lot of people complain where they continue to track the same kind of guy, but you continue to doing the same thing. If you want different, you want different results. You don't continue doing the same thing. You want a good guy, you want a different type of man, you want a man that's going to wife you and be loyal, then stop messing with F boys. Well, how do you stop doing that? Stop going to clubs and bars and giving out your number. Oh, I'm just going to have a good time. Well, how come every time you go, you're giving out your Instagram? Stop giving out your Instagram. Like, no, I'm taking. Find somebody in a little more of a different setting. You keep getting the same people and you wonder why, and that's one of the reasons why, dating women, girls who are married and go to clubs while they're in a relationship, but she's probably plotting on leaving you anyway. I mean, unless you're going with your man or with your spouse is different, but just don't wife those kind of girls. There are girls that don't do it. There's plenty of beautiful women who stay home that don't go to clubs all the time. The red flag, exactly. She's advertising she's single and because, and then also when you look at that, when he says she's a red flag, she's advertising she's single if she's in these spots and she's in a relationship. Yeah. Well, also, it comes down to dynamics. A lot of the times guys are good guys and they think they're doing everything right, but they don't understand relationship dynamics. They don't understand healthy space. You want to speak to your girl all day, every day, and you don't have a purpose that's serving you. You don't allow that girl to miss you. Um, you don't understand how to demand and command respect. You let a girl call you stupid, or are you getting on my effing nerves and just talk to you any type of way, and you never set boundaries. I don't allow any girl that I'm in a relationship to talk to me like that. Even if she says, "Oh, I'm just playing," okay, that's fine. You can play, but don't play with me like that. Go play with your mother. Don't play with me. You understand? Because I don't play like that. Obviously, I wouldn't say that in that moment. I'm like, that's fine. You can play, but don't play with me like that. You just demand respect. It's very simple. If I speak to you with respect, you speak to me with respect. It's a law of reciprocity. It's very simple, very easy for a child to understand. And a lot of you guys don't do this. This is why I tell you guys subscribe to the relationship course. For men, it's designed for men to understand how to lead in their relationship. You let women lead. You let women tell you what to do. And these are some of the things. These are some of the things that men don't understand when it comes to relationships. So when you master those things, you usually don't deal with those problems of her wanting to go out and her wanting to do this because you in charge. Now, when you in charge and you're doing what you got to do, she calling you daddy and this. Now, oh yeah, I'm sorry, daddy, I won't go. Which, listen, I have in my situations, girls they be like, well, can you tell me what to do? You're such a good leader. I just, I don't act. They ask me to do more. They find themselves wanting to do more. because I understand relationship dynamics. A lot of you guys don't understand that. So all it takes is an argument with her man. She hit the club, and there goes the kitty. Yeah, well, that not all women are like that. If a girl, you get into an argument, she go cheat. That's just you dealing with a low quality woman. You guys got to learn how to filter women out before you wife them. My wife is gonna wear a burqa on God. I'm not. I'm not even Muslim. That's funny. Facts. Some will call you sassy for it. My friends tell me about their girl all the time. Listen, no, you gotta set boundaries. That's all setting boundaries is. You gotta set boundaries, because if you don't set boundaries, then anything goes. You got to set boundaries. If you don't set boundaries in a relationship, it's like, well, what are you ever going to get? You're never going to get, you're just going to, anything goes. But that's the thing. That's why men and women, like when it comes to children, like that, you can see that men bring structure, women are loving and caring and nurturing. But if you don't have that balance of structure and discipline, like you give your relationship structure when you set boundaries. And a lot of guys don't understand that. They just get into relationships. No, you set boundaries. Like, hey, listen, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what we're not going to be doing. I'm not going to allow you to, do this. And I get it. A lot of you guys have women who have friends, and their friends are hoes, but you don't want to have them necessarily cut off their friends right away, because then your girl's a loser. Now she want to spend every waking moment with you, and you like, damn, I need some space. But just set some boundaries. If you know her friends are like that, well, okay, well, I don't think it's appropriate to hang out with Stacy. And Stacy, every time she go to the bar, she hooking up with a random dude. And those dudes got friends, and they with you, and they think you saying, well, I think you should hang out with Stacy if y'all go out to eat. If you go to the mall, not settings where there's abundance of single men hounding over women. You want to have a balance. Don't make her cut off her friends, because I need some space too. Right? I don't need to be with my girl every second of the day. Right? I don't need to be with you every second of the day. You need to have that balance. But set boundaries. A lot of you guys don't set boundaries. That's why I tell you guys, get the relationship course. Learn how to lead your relationship. It's worth it. I speak to guys on the daily. I save relationships, and I saved a few marriages on the daily. Set boundaries. Set boundaries for you. Make it official. Say, hey, listen, if we're living together, you living with me. We already talked about having your own shit. But if you're living with me, you know what? I think that it's inappropriate for you to come in this house at past 1 or even past 12:30, unless you're at a family event, unless I know the occasion. Set boundaries. You're not about to just be doing whatever. And if you can't agree on those, then we not get into this relationship. And then you move on, you go to somebody else. Simple. You maybe guys mess around until you find somebody a little more suitable for you. But if you guys can't come to an agreement on boundaries, don't get in a relationship. You guys just wife people off anything. You got no structure to your relationship. There's no order. And as a man, that's supposed to be your job. That's why I create the relationship course for men, to learn how to give structure to your relationship. It's very simple. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. But guys don't understand that. I think a lot of women don't understand that either, but that's not for a woman to do. I think that's something on the man. I think a man should lead his relationship. By the way, thank you, Nikki, for the roses. She likes that when you set that boundary. Because most men never do it. Yeah, and most men don't know what that even means.
Yo, KB.
What's the deal, man?
Quick question. So, on like the type of courses, would you ever come out with like a style guide? Because like your fits are tough and shit like that. You ever think about doing something like that?
I might do it, man. I might do it. I might have to. I'll make it cheap. I'll make it cheap for you guys. Is that something you guys would you be interested in? Your style? I'm gonna take that as a yes. Definitely, man. I got the Make Her Obsessed with You ebook coming. I'm gonna put that out. I'm gonna put that out for you guys. I'm gonna give you guys a free ebook first, and then I'll put the $50. Make her obsessed one. I'll make that cheap. I'll make it like $10, $10, $12. Yeah, I like watches. I got one on right now. I know this shit look like an AP, but it's not. It's like a Ferrari watch. I have a Rolex. I have a few Movados, but that's about it, though. Tough lesson for men. You must be selfish. Do you be focused on your matter? What? Yeah. It be like that sometime. You gotta be a little selfish. Women like selfish men. Obviously, to a degree. You don't want to be, in the sense of being ambitious and putting your purpose first. And then it's a strong indicator that you're going to be a money guy, a money grab, especially when you can take care of things. If I wasn't doing this, if I didn't have a Patreon where the subscription-based business, I'd be working 80 hours, 70 hours a week. I swear to God. To a degree, you can't be selfish and petty. Well, no, being petty and selfish are two different things. There was a study put out. I forget which university put it out, but it said that women are more attracted to selfish men. And basically what they were saying in the study was that men who are more ambitious, who put their purpose first and they strive for their purpose and they don't let anything change that, these men were more attractive. Why? Because there was a scarcity on their time. They weren't so readily available, not just to the woman that they were dating, but just to other women. And especially if they were attractive. So it's like they want the attention of this man. He's not necessarily playing them, but every time he speaks to them, most of the time he's on his purpose. And he does have that balance where he creates time for them, but that just makes him more desirable because he's reaching for a goal that is great. So it shows that ambition. It shows that leadership. And then, where he does make time for her, it's in a space where, yes, I'm making time for you, but understand that you can't come first right now. And understand, and that's one of the problems. You put your lady, you put everything first. I always tell you guys, God comes first. Got your purpose of life, and then your purpose. Because you ain't got a purpose, you can't have a family. No way. You can't even take care of nothing. How you gonna be paying for trips? You can't do anything. So you gotta have a purpose. But and it was seen. It was in the surveys that were taken. Women were attracted to these kind of men, but these men were a little selfish because they put their purpose first. So yeah, obviously you want to have some type of balance, but men who are selfish, women like a little more. And there's scarcity on the time. Anything that has scarcity on it, you always want it more. I don't think that needs to be explained though. Guys, if you're not following, make sure you follow me. I heard they have like a little little subscription thing for TikTok now. I'll make it really cheap, like maybe $2. This man here is always growing fast. Any more questions? It's because they're not giving them a lot of attention. Well, yeah, obviously, that's a given. Women want what they can't have. If you give it to them, they won't want it. Not necessarily. You got to give them something. You got to throw them a bone every once in a while, right? But also, it's about maintaining. You got to maintain attraction. A lot of guys don't know how to maintain attraction long term. But the thing is, nobody's going to tell you this. Nobody's going to tell you how to do this. That's the sad part. And sometimes women even complain, I want you to open up to me. I want you to be more sensitive. I want you to express your emotions. Yeah, but then guys do that and they go crazy with it. And they always look crying. Oh, babe, I'm expressing my emotions. Why are you not talking to me? But then you get into a feminine state. You got to keep that with a balance. It's great to know how to communicate, but that expressing your emotions, I feel like every month I get a guy coming to me with that. Oh, she asked me to express my emotions. I did, and now she's having a hard time in this relationship. Now she doesn't want me anymore. You got to keep a balance with it. It's all about the balance, man. It's all about the balance. You gotta keep a balance, dude. You gotta keep the balance. Keep the balance. You gotta keep it. But anyway, guys, any more questions? I gotta get off of here, get me some food in my belly. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Guys, if you have troubles with your relationship, subscribe to the relationship course. I promise you, it will keep your girl loving you long time. Like Ling Ling. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. This whole thing will be on YouTube also, and the podcast. Subscribe to the Spotify podcast. Tons of podcasts, tons of great topics like this. It's usually for men, but I see I've been getting a lot more women subscribers lately. A lot more women asking for advice because it's very few. I usually do let women. I do talk to them. Men, you know, it is what it is. You got to pay for this shit. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for coming. And please come back. Thank you for the compliment. Appreciate that. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. And I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to holla at y'all.